As many of you know, The Undertaker is one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it and is respected by many. Over the years, The Undertaker has stacked up so many opponents along the way and built a legendary streak that many people that would look forward to every single year on the greatest stage of them all, aka WrestleMania. But without any further ado, let's get straight into the legendary streak of The Undertaker. The Undertaker would debut at Survivor Series in 1990, where he would be brought out by the $1 Million Man to be a mystery partner. The Undertaker would make his WrestleMania debut at WrestleMania 7 on March 24th, 1991. He would go on to defeat Jimmy Snuka in a matter of minutes. In 1992, The Undertaker would turn face, turning on his former ally, Jake the Snake Roberts, therefore putting the two in a feud at WrestleMania, where The Undertaker would end up beating Jake the Snake Roberts, making him 2-0 at WrestleMania. He would go on to face Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. I don't know why they would book this boring-ass match, but hey, each to its own. Taker would go on beating him via DQ. This would be Taker's worst WrestleMania match ever. This streak doesn't seem so legendary, but I promise you it picks up. At WrestleMania 11, Undertaker would face King Kong Bundy and beat him in another bad match. This would be an important match though, because it would be the first reference of Taker's streak by the company.
After this, Taker would go on to face Bret Hart at the 1996 Royal Rumble. Diesel would interfere in this match and cost The Undertaker the match. Taker would then cost Diesel a title shot at In Your House pay-per-view, and the two would settle their feud at WrestleMania 12. Taker would then defeat Diesel with a tombstone. So far, the streak is total ass, but he's 5-0. Taker would find himself in a fatal four-way for the WWE title, but end up losing to Bret Hart. Psycho Sid would then beat Bret the next night for the title. I gotta be honest, I don't know how anybody watched this shit, it sounds so boring. But Taker then would challenge Sid to a match at Mania for the title. At WrestleMania 13, Taker would beat Sid thanks to an assist from Bret for the WWE title. He is now 6-0 at Mania. But at Bad Blood 1997, Taker would face Shawn Michaels in a Hell in a Cell match. During the match, Kane would interfere and debut, costing Taker the match. Taker would then lose to Shawn in a casket match at the 1998 Rumble thanks to Kane. After the match, Kane would set the casket on fire. The Dead Man would then return a month later and challenge Kane to a match at Mania 14.
The Undertaker would end up hitting Kane with 3 tombstones, making him 7-0 at WrestleMania. Taker would be in his new Ministry of Darkness era. Taker would try and go after Vince and the entire company. At Mania 16, The Undertaker would go on to face the Big Boss Man. This match was yet again ass. I'm not gonna lie at this point, if I'm Vince, I'm sending Taker straight to catering with King Kong Bunny too, bro. Like, to be brutally honest, these matches are ass. But good thing Vince didn't send them to catering. But to be brutally honest, it really wasn't Taker's fault. To be honest, Vince was just giving them bozos to fight at Mania. But The Undertaker would be 6-0 after this. In 2001, The Undertaker would be known as the American Badass, which was like a biker, and it was needed, to be honest. Triple H and The Undertaker would end up in a feud at Mania 17. Taker would go up beating Triple H in a pretty good match. Finally, he got something good. He needed this match, and these two always had amazing chemistry. Taker would be 9-0 after this. At No Way Out 2002, Taker would face The Rock, but The Undertaker would lose thanks to Ric Flair's old ass. This would lead to a match at Mania 18, where Taker would win, making him 10-0.
In 2003, Taker would find himself in a feud with The Big Show and A-Train. What the hell did Taker do to deserve this, man? But some jobber named Nathan Jones would come out to help Undertaker against them. But not gonna lie, you might as well have sent me out there, man. But Jones would end up getting injured and would leave Taker to fight them on his own at Mania 19 in a 2v1 handicap match. Honestly, Taker probably didn't even notice he was gone. But Taker would end up beating the two, making him 11-0 at Mania. The Undertaker would then ditch the American Badass gimmick in 2004. Taker would play mind games with Kane and vignettes, and Taker would face Kane at Mania 20 and end up beating him, making him 12-0. In 2005, Randy Orton would start his Legend Killer gimmick, and there wasn't a bigger legend than Taker, so his goal was set. He wanted to end Taker's streak. Undertaker would accept the match, and it was on. At WrestleMania 21, Taker and Randy would have a banger match, and in this match, Randy hit one of the dopest RKOs ever when Taker attempted to hit him with a chokeslam, but Randy countered it into an RKO. This was beautiful. But Taker would end up winning this match, making him 13-0 at Mania.
In 2006, The Undertaker would feud with Kurt Angle for the WWE title, and Mark Henry would cost Taker the match, thus having Taker call out Mark Henry for a casket match at Mania 22. That's when I thought the streak was getting good. They do this. No disrespect to Mark Henry, but Taker has never had any good matches with bigger people besides Kane, and they throw Mark Henry at him. But anyways, Taker would go on to win this match and make his streak 14-0. In 2007, Taker would go on to win the Royal Rumble and would decide to face Batista for the WWE title at Mania 23. This is really where the streak would pick up. Taker was pulling out crazy dives. Batista power slammed Taker through an announce table. reversals back and forth, and this might have been closest and the biggest threat to Taker's streak so far. Taker would end up beating Batista, making him 15-0 at Mania. The same year, Edge would win Money in the Bank and cash in to win the World Heavyweight Championship against Taker. Batista, Edge, and Taker would end up feuding for the whole year. In 2008, Taker would win an Elimination Chamber match, making him the #1 contender for Edge's World Heavyweight Championship. At Mania 24, Taker and Edge would face off in the main event for the title.
Undertaker was obviously undefeated at this point, but Edge was also undefeated in Mania 1v1s. The two would go back and forth, and Edge would even hit Taker with a camera. The Edge heads, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, if you didn't know, would interfere, and Edge would hit a spear. Just when Edge was about to go for the pin, Undertaker would pull Edge in for the Hell's Gate. What a match. Just when he thought Edge was going to get the upper hand, Taker just added a new weapon into his inventory, and it was over, man. But man, what a match. Edge proved that he could hang, and Taker adds another banger to the list. He is now 16-0. But next up, we have one of the best matches in WWE history. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. From here, Taker turns up and his streak would be legendary from here. The story would be based around good versus evil. Shawn being the heavenly figure and Taker being the evil figure. Taker and Shawn had a legendary bout, going back and forth, many crazy moves including Taker doing a dive and Shawn pulling in the cameraman. And don't think Shawn was slacking. Shawn would hit several big moves himself, including Shawn trying to hit a big moonsault on Taker, but Taker would catch him and hit him with a tombstone piledriver, making him 17-0 at WrestleMania. But what a match. But Shawn wasn't done though. The next year, Shawn wanted a rematch. Shawn said he made one mistake, but he said he could beat The Undertaker.
Taker didn't want to accept the match though. Taker said it would add disappointment to Shawn. Shawn didn't give up though. Shawn would then play mind games with Taker, eventually screwing him out of the World Heavyweight Championship at the Elimination Chamber. Taker would finally agree to the match, however, on one condition. Taker said Shawn had to put his career on the line. Shawn did said if he didn't beat The Undertaker at Mania, then he has no career. The match was on for WrestleMania 26. The hype being put around the match was the career versus the streak. Taker and Shawn would put on another classic. Shawn would hit Taker with a top rope moonsault through an announce table. At the end, Shawn would be on his knees and would slap The Undertaker. Taker would be pissed off. Taker would hit Shawn with a leaping tombstone piledriver. 1, 2, 3, ending Shawn Michaels' career. Undertaker's WrestleMania record would now be 18-0. Next year, Triple H would call out The Undertaker and try to get his give back in blood for Shawn Michaels. In another banger, Triple H would hit Taker with a tombstone. Taker after this would lock Triple H in the Hell's Gate, with Triple H having a sledgehammer in his hand, but couldn't pull it out. Triple H would have to tap, making Undertaker's record 19-0.
After the match, Taker legitimately couldn't walk, needing to be stretchered out. The next year at Mania, Taker would actually challenge Triple H to a rematch at Mania, but Triple H would actually decline. Taker took a beating at Mania last year, and he needed to prove that he could beat Triple H clearly. Triple H rejected that because he didn't want to end Undertaker. Taker would then call out Triple H, calling him a coward and saying Shawn was better than Triple H, but Triple H would snap. Triple H says that he would face Taker at Mania, but under one condition: Hell in a Cell. Shawn would then officially get added to the match as a special guest ref, and the match was on at WrestleMania 28. This would then be billed as the end of an era, but what a fitting name. I can't really describe this match and put it into words because it's not going to do it justice. You have to watch this match. But this is genuinely my favorite match of all time. And when Shawn hit Taker with the Sweet Chin music and Triple H hit Taker with the pedigree, I thought it was over. This is a top 3 kickout ever though. Taker would then hit Triple H with a tombstone, and Shawn ended up having to count his best friend getting pinned by the dude who ended his career. What a match, man. This would make Taker 20-0 at WrestleMania. But please go watch this. This is the greatest match of all time.
The next year, CM Punk would come next. Paul Bearer unfortunately passed away in 2013, RIP. But CM Punk would use this to play mind games with The Undertaker. Taker also had a new look during this time, having buzzed hair instead of his long hair. Paul Heyman would act like Paul Bearer, and Punk would pour Paul Bearer's ashes on Taker. The match was set at Mania 29. The match was pretty good. Punk would hit an elbow drop to an announce table. This Mania was really bad, but this was the only highlight from this whole Mania. But Taker would hit Punk with a tombstone, 1, 2, 3, and his record would be 21-0. Next year, Brock Lesnar would challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. This match was interesting to say the least. The match lasted 25 minutes, and after 3 F5s, Brock Lesnar would pin The Undertaker, and the streak would end. Everybody in New Orleans and everybody at home was shocked. At first, they didn't even play Brock's theme music. Like, everyone was thinking, did that really just happen? Was there a mistake on the ref's hand? Taker would get up to a round of applause, and the screen would show up 21-1. This fan's face really sums it up all. A big piece of Mania died that night. Just an absolute surreal moment. And if there already wasn't enough bad news, as soon as The Undertaker got backstage, he would collapse, Vince would ask for help, and The Undertaker would need to be taken to the nearest hospital. The next year, Bray Wyatt would call out The Undertaker multiple times, but there was no response. A month before Mania, Taker would finally respond to Bray, setting his chair on fire, telling him that he would rest in peace. Taker didn't appear on screen until Mania. The entrances were fire for these two. Taker looked weird because it wasn't that dark outside, but it was the first time we saw The Undertaker since his WrestleMania 30 loss. Taker would hit Bray with a tombstone, making him 22-1. Next year, Shane would come back to the WWE, and he would want to take control of Monday Night Raw. Vince said that he had a deal, but under one condition: one match on one night. Vince told Shane that he had to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. Then Shane McMahon accepted the match. The match was then set to be in a Hell in a Cell, and it was on. If Taker wins, Shane doesn't get control of Raw. If Shane wins, Taker can't compete at Mania ever again. I'm not gonna lie, this Mania wasn't the best, but Shane and Taker produced a legendary moment. When Shane climbed to the top of Hell in a Cell and jumped off, Taker was on the announce table. What a moment. Taker then would hit a tombstone to Shane to end the match, putting his WrestleMania record to 23-1.
The next year, The Undertaker would show up at the Royal Rumble in 2017, and Roman would eventually throw Taker out. Their feud would start from here. I gotta be honest, this was so unnecessary. The match at Mania 33 would be the main event, but it was horrible. Even JR couldn't save this match. But Roman would hit multiple spears on Taker, and he would beat him. After the match, Taker would take off his gear and leave it in the ring, making it seem like he had just retired, making Taker 23-2. But so unnecessary, bro. This was not it. But the next night, Roman had a nuclear boo reaction where he should have turned heel, but he didn't. So the one good thing that would have came out of this was Roman turning heel, but they didn't do it. So this was just a huge waste of time. But the next year, Cena would call out Taker in multiple segments. Cena wanted to face Taker at Mania 34, but Taker would never respond, so Cena didn't have a match. Kane would eventually come out and chokeslam Cena though. Cena said he wanted to go to Mania as a fan. Cena would be shown throughout Mania 34, but as a fan. After the Charlotte and Asuka match, a ref would whisper in Cena's ear and Cena would run backstage. Cena would come back out to the ring in gear, and the lights would go out. It was not Undertaker, bruh. It was Elias. Cena would make quick work out of Elias, but Cena's dream match was not looking good. Cena would then go up to the ramp, and the lights would go out again. But Taker's hat would be shown in the ring, and Taker's music would eventually play. The story and build-up for this match was great, but the match sucked. The match was like 5 minutes. Cena was just getting dogged out there for no reason. But I guess it was just a Taker confidence booster. But Taker was now 24-2 at Mania. But fast forward to 2020, AJ would call out Taker and talk about his wife.
You talking about my wife?
But Taker would actually appear on TV for this feud. Taker would send shots back at AJ, but this wasn't the dead man. This was the American badass Undertaker. AJ would make this feud personal. At Mania 36, the match was on. But it would be in a cinematic match called the Boneyard match. This match was a masterpiece. Taker would pull up in a bike and shit would go down. This was like a horror movie. Taker would finally bury AJ alive and ended up making Taker 25-2 at Mania. This would end up being Taker's retirement match, and what a way to go out. The one thing that sucks though is that he didn't retire with the fans in attendance.
The streak was absolutely legendary. The beginning was kind of ass, to be brutally honest, but it really picked up towards the end. The streak was a yearly Mania moment to look forward to. Yo, Ange, what you think, bruh?
I'm glad you asked. The streak should have never ended, but if it were to come to end, I think it should have been against Triple H at WrestleMania 28. Perfect match. Everybody was in it. It's the greatest match of all time. I think it would have been a fitting ending. But the Brock Lesnar match was kind of ass, I'm going to be honest. But the moment was crazy. So.
If you want my honest opinion, I thought when they hit the Sweet Chin music and the pedigree, I thought it was over.
Oh, God, that shit was crazy, bro.
I was like in my basement, no geisha. I was clenching my ass. I thought it was over.
But Josh, what do you think about this, bro?
Not to say your whole mojo, but honestly, if they would have built the John Cena Taker match, I think that could have been arguably his best match ever if they built it the right way. Like, they took a whole year. But literally, the whole point of the promo, he would just go out, yell The Undertaker's name, Undertaker. But then at Mania, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to be a fan. And then, right, he dude, please put the video when, like,
he
you're
waited
like,
so long just to sit in the crowd, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, please play the video where he's like, oh, guys, I'm here with The Undertaker. But, so then, Elias came out. Fucking Elias. Who gives a shit about Elias? Let's be honest.
I don't. He's trash. I'm not gonna lie.
And then Cena was coming up the ramp. I remember watching it live. I was like, man, we ain't gonna get The Undertaker Dude, that was the worst match in history. They could have had a great match and a great build.
But let me know what y'all think about the streak, man. Like, comment, subscribe.
Real quick before we get out of your hair, if you guys haven't checked out the first video, please check it out. An amazing video. We appreciate all the love on it, all the views, all the likes, all the comments. We appreciate it. And yeah, y'all, we're gonna get out of your hair. Brother Productions, out of here.
Selfishly, would I have liked to have gone, 25, 26-0? Of course. That would have been probably the greatest record in all of, wrestling. Business is business. And sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. And